All right, guys, welcome back for another one. Before I show you this big guy and tell you the story about how this amp come about to be sitting on my bench anyhow, we had to do some prep to get ready for this guy. Um, I've wanted to do this ever since Skylar bought his lithium and, put them together and have 8 banks. Um, this was a perfect opportunity to finally do that. So last weekend, me and Skylar made up these cables and put these together and everything, just to be prepared for this weekend. This is the lithium that I've had on the test bench for quite a while now. It's 4 banks of the 40 amp hour excess power branded Yinlongs. Almost a year ago now, Skylar bought the XS branded Yinlongs, but the 45 amp hour versions. So these 4 right here is 180 amp hours, and mine is 160. So together we now have 340 amp hours of lithium, which is pretty stout. Guys, there's a lot of different ways nowadays, and these things, lithium I think is going to keep getting cheaper and cheaper. This is probably one of the most expensive ways to get into the lithium world, but they're really, really good. This is about, I'm not just bragging here, but just so you guys would kind of know, this is about $4,000 worth of batteries. This is a couple $1,000s each here. So you can get into lithium a lot cheaper than that. There's different opinions about, what's the best kind or whatever. We really like the performance of these Yinlongs. But anyhow, we run double zeros. These are balanced. And then down in there, these are balanced, and then they're hooked together, so they're balancing together. But yeah, let's get into it. Let's talk about why we needed this much battery for today's video. All right, guys, pretty cool story here. A guy that I had already met once, local guy, a fellow North Alabama guy named Jason. We had already met up once before, and he hit me up a few days ago about picking this amp up. He got it, was pretty excited about figuring out, seeing how much power it actually made. Asked me if I was interested in testing it and all of that. Pretty sure he's never turned it on. I don't think he's ever turned it on or anything. So, man, shout out to Jason. He trusts me, to hand me a brand new amplifier and let me take off with it. Which the last thing I would ever do is do somebody wrong like that. But thank you, Jason. Anyhow, stay till the end of the video. I'll tell you where he got it and how much he paid for it. But yeah, the video for today, I knew when he was telling me about this, and I went online to do a little research to see, if that thing does what it says, I don't have enough battery on my bench right now. We might have to do something to get ready for that amp, and that is the way that it turned out. So, and I will be honest with you, I'm shooting these videos backwards this week. Normally I'm showing you this before I ever test the amp. This week I've already done all the dynos, but I wanted to put it back in the box just to show you, if you were to order this amp, how or what you would receive and what it would look like. So first thing, I know you already know by the title, we're talking about the Bermans 13K. Started seeing some Bermans amps floating around on the internet here lately. I've not had one of them yet, but I'm excited to have this one in front of me today, that's for sure. Check this out, guys. This is the first time I've seen this from one of these types of amps, but it's a kind of a newer, it's got the bass knob with the power and clip, got the voltage. It is a combination of plastic and metal. I'm pretty excited to see this, honestly. I'm hoping that in the future, this could be something similar that I might could include with the WA2Ks. I've wanted the WA2K to have a really cool bass knob like this the whole time. It's just not been available to me. I've got a couple of options that I've got to choose from for that. Hopefully in the future something like this will be an option. It's even got the, and I did calibrate this for Jason. It was off about 0.3 of a volt. And I used my Fluke multimeter and adjusted this to be right on the money with the Fluke. So really cool to see that. It does work correctly. I do use it. I did test it. It does work right. They do give you a couple of hex wrenches and some screws, some mounting screws for the amp, and a couple of mounting screws for the bass knob. Let me set this out of the way. A manual, just a very no branding. I tell you what I did like about this manual. Was it this one? No, I'm thinking of something else. But I do like when they include some ohm loads, you know, that type of stuff. There's so many questions nowadays about this right here. I'm probably going to take a picture of this because people ask me questions so often about series and parallel. And the only thing is all of these subs right here are single voice coil. But long story short, pretty basic. Everything you need to know though, for the most part. But we've got ratings on the back. So check out, I guess this is all the amps in the series. Look at this. There's an 18K. That's crazy. We've got the 13. I'd like to test all these. 3, 5, 8, 13, 18. This is the amp we have today. Check this out. 3250 at 4 ohms, 6500 at 2 ohms, 13K at 1. Less than 5% or less than 0.5% THD. Frequency response 10 hertz to 20K, so it's a full range. This is a full bridge, full range, Chinese full bridge. Signal to noise greater than 94 dB. Sensitivity 0.4 volts to 3.6. That's talking about the RCA voltage going in, not the, you know, power and ground. It does not give us a voltage for power and ground. I'm hoping that, you know, 9 to 16 is what most amps are. 9 volts to 16 volts to keep them nice and happy because we are going to change the voltage around a little bit. All right, there's the dimensions. I do measure this there towards the end of the video with a measuring tape to let you know what it weighs and what the measurements are. So super cool. Cable, very standard, looks exactly like the rest of them. All right, and then this big guy. All right, so let's check it out. Y'all bear with me for a minute. All right, pretty heavy. Pretty heavy. Probably, it's definitely the most powerful amp that I've ever had on my bench. Physically, I've probably had a couple amps bigger than this physically. But anyhow, here it is. The weight is very sufficient for what it claims to be. Check this out. Dual zeros, oversized zeros, 2 fans on this end. The remote there in the middle on this side. Let's flip it around. Okay, 2 more fans. Yeah, this amp has 4 fans. Super cool. There's your remote input. Now this one has inputs that's labeled left and right. I used both. I didn't really play around or test anything different than that. But y'all know usually on these full bridges it says input and output, where this one says left and right. I love that our potentiometers here are metal. Super cool. Gain, min to max, high pass, 10 to 100, low pass, 50 to 20K. You can create a band pass there and have those frequencies just right where you want them. And a bass boost. We'll keep that turned all the way down. Protect, clip, and power. And 2 positives, 2 negatives for the speaker outs. Look at that. Danger, high voltage. I talk about that towards the end of the video, actually. I do actually test off camera the voltage coming out of here. That's kind of neat to test sometimes. You can get a good clean voltage or see what it does clipping. It's no strain on the amp because I don't have it under a load. I'm just simply putting the multimeter on here just to see what it does. I do that occasionally. I don't think I've ever done it on camera, but anyhow, yeah, pretty cool amp. You know, sometimes you got to watch out, you know, buying something like this. You would wonder if it would show up being like really cheesy, like the features or the weight, the heat sink. I don't know, just something being cheesy about it. I'll tell you right now, there's nothing cheesy about this amp. Everything I saw in the build quality and the heft of it is nice. It really is. Anyhow, let me know, do y'all have any Bermans amps? Do y'all have any of those that I showed on the back of the manual there? I would love to test out some of the other models. All right, so let's get into the good stuff. Yeah, let's start wiring it up and see, is this thing anywhere near what it claims? Let's find out. All right, guys, here we go. This is 4 ohms. I'm excited for 2 reasons. I'm excited to see what this amp does, but I'm also excited to see how the test bench does. If this amp puts out anywhere near what it claims, this is going to be a really good test for the bench. Remember, at 4 ohms, we're rated 3250. 3250. And to start with, I have not bumped the voltage up on the lithium here, and so we're just going to see how it does at 4 ohms. This will be a good test. Depending on how much we drop, that'll tell me if I need to bump my voltage up for the 2 ohm and the 1 ohm run. So my best guess is yes. If it does that amount of wattage, it's probably going to need to be bumped up for those next 2 tests. So 3250, this is going to be at 40 hertz right here. I'll be honest with you, I'm a little torn still if I want to do all the runs today at 40 hertz. I don't know who's buying this for door speakers. I mean, I'm sure some, you know, very large builds would have something crazy like that, but I feel like all of you guys would be buying this if y'all were going to consider this amp for subwoofers. We might do 1 or 2 at 1 kilohertz, I don't know, but 40 is what I'm most interested in, and I feel like it's what you guys are most interested in as well. So we're going to capture the current. We are clamped around both zeros at the same time. We'll see how that works out. this clamp can clamp 2,000 amps, by the way. We should be good to go today on that. So let's get to it, man. So another thing, I did adjust the voltage here. This thing was off a little bit, but it's got a little adjustment on it, which is pretty cool. So I zeroed that out. I'm going to be paying attention to the clip light here and the clip light on the bass knob, and I'm going to stop the run at whichever one comes on first. All right, let's get to it. Here we go. 40 hertz, rated 3250. What's it going to do? Let's roll it up. Oh, 3078. The voltage dropped to 14.2. That's not bad. 3078. I know that says 4.1 ohms, but it's 4 ohms. If I test it with my Fluke multimeter, ooh, 383.4 amps of current. Wow. So that is a little bit low, but think about this. We did drop below 14.4. I'm going to say if I could have maintained 14.2 there, I hear these fans on now. Yeah, they were not on at first. So they're on now. 3078 at 4.1. Man, that's cool. I'm excited, y'all. All right, let me get... change the track and let's do 4 ohms dynamic. That's some pretty big power at 4 ohms. That tells me she's probably got a lot left in her. Okay, let's do dynamic. All right, unpause the track. 4 ohms dynamic. Whoa, guys. Wow. All right, yeah, it's got some good power. I cannot wait to see what it does at 2 ohms and 1 ohm. I'm gonna bump my voltage up. It's already about to recover back to 14.8 right now, but that's not enough. If it's dropping to 14.2 at 4 ohms, this next run would definitely be down into the 13s. I'm thinking about bumping the voltage up into maybe even as much as 15.8 and land, you know, down in the 14s for sure. Yeah, that's probably what I should do here. Let me know what y'all think about this so far. I'm excited. All right, let's get to it. All right, guys, here we are, 2 ohms. I gotta be honest with you, I'm a little bit nervous. So y'all see, we bumped the voltage up to, it's right there at 15.8. Both of these are actually kind of toggling a little bit if you watch them long enough, but oh man, rated 6,500 at 2 ohms. Dang. All right, so this will be a good test for the amp and the bench both. Here we go, 40 hertz. I'm a little nervous. Again, I'm going to kind of be watching both clip lights. On that 4 ohm run, this light came on first. On a lot of these Chinese full bridges, the one on the amp and the bass knob comes on just before the AM/M1. A lot of times, not every time. But let's see what it does. Here we go. Let's roll it up. Oh gosh, 6371. Look at that. And the voltage dropped to 14.3. That 1 ohm run is gonna be, oh, overload. Now I know we didn't pull more than 2,000 amps. I did read the manual on this. I know a lot of y'all are gonna say, well, AC DC clamp, it'll do more on AC on the clamp than it will on DC. This one is rated 2,000 amps for both AC and DC both. I don't know why that says overload. I know we didn't pull, I'll tell you what, we probably pulled about 700 if I had to guess. I hate that didn't capture that. Let me know what y'all think about that. Dude, this is some pretty big power. Okay, we've got to do dynamic, right? 6371. Let me change tracks and let's do 2 ohms dynamic. Here we go, dynamic at 2. Unpause the track. Oh, dang. Guys. Wow. Oh man, this is cool. All right, so, gosh, I'll tell you again, I'm gonna say if you can hold 14.4, I think it would have hit both of those last 2 runs. We're just barely under, but I'm dropping just below 14.4 as well. So, man, okay. But will it go 1300? Can it double what it just did? Let's find out. Let's find out. All right, guys, here we go. 1 ohm. It's rated 13,000 watts. Gee whiz. All right, so I can already tell Skylar's lithium is helping a ton. With just mine alone, that's normally on the bench, it wouldn't have done what you just saw. My voltage, I mean, I could have done some runs, but we would have been dropping into the 12s and 13s most likely. So his lithium, I can tell it's adding quite a bit here. On this run, I think we're going to get into the 13s. I'd love it if it would be 14.0 or better, but I don't think it's going to. If we got to 14.3 at 2 ohms, I think we're going to be in the 13s. Maybe we can stay high 13s. We'll see. We will see. It is going to affect our wattage, but to be honest, to do this kind of power and still be in the, what I think is going to wind up being the high 13s is still, you know, adequate voltage. Let's put that in the right mode so it'll hold for us. Okay, we're going to capture the current. You know what I think I want to do here too? I think I want to do the dynamic run first. I know that might end up being a little bit of a spoiler, but this amp so far has done great. It hasn't gone into protect, knock on wood, right? But this 1 ohm run, no doubt, is going to be a lot tougher on everything than what we've done so far. So let's do the dynamic run first this time. And then we'll do the regular run. Yeah, or maybe I'll just do this one first, but I'll insert it second in the video, so it won't be so much of a spoiler. That's probably what I should do, actually. So anyhow, 40 hertz, 1 ohm, dynamic, rated 13,000 watts. Gee whiz, guys. All right, we're going to capture that current. Oh, speaking of, I changed it. Sometimes I have had issues with this thing giving us a weird reading when we're clamping 2 at the same time. I've also had it turn out and do right. So I've just got 1 clamped, but we're going to say it pulls double whatever it's going to say here. All right, let's get to it. I'm nervous. That's probably why I'm rambling so much. Here we go, dynamic. Oh, 10.3, and it's holding right there. Okay, all right, so that is interesting. Even on that dynamic run, it was enough to drop us down. That's I'll be honest with you, that's a good point. When you're playing music in a vehicle, it's not near as taxing on your electrical to play music as it is test tones. Now, I know some of you guys are doing both. If you're doing test tones, you need to be prepared with a lot of electrical. And with a big amp, you need a lot of electrical on music too. But that 14.5, we're gonna see it go below that on the normal sine wave run. Look at what that pulled right there. Kind of surprised it showed us that on dynamic, to be honest. So think about that times 2. And it probably didn't capture that perfectly. 10.3, and it wasn't going up anymore. Okay. All right. Let me give my bench a little bit of time to recoup. It's almost recovered. And we'll do the other run. All right. All right, guys, here we go. 1 ohm. I can't say that I'm not a little nervous about this. I'm proud of, I will say this amp is handling this higher voltage like a champ. No issues. That's the fans on the amp that you hear. I imagine all 4 of them puppies are going. They're probably all 4 below. Every time they come on, I'm sure it's all 4, but whew. All right, 13,000 watts, 1 ohm, 40 hertz. Lord have mercy. We got everything in the right mode. Yeah. Here we go. Here we go. Oh, whoo, guys. Overload again. What? All right, so I got in it and got out of it pretty quick. I could tell that it got there and it stopped. It wasn't going any higher. Y'all saw, I think y'all should have seen the clip light. Gosh, low 13s. I was hoping we could still be in the high 13s. Still, without Skylar's lithium added to mine, there's no telling. We'd have probably got 11s, honestly. I'm pretty proud of the test bench for being able to handle that. But guys, I will say this. What would it have done at 1 ohm if we could have maintained 14.4? It did nearly 10K at 13.3. Wow. I just don't have enough electrical. If we hooked Skylar's Tahoe along with the test bench, we could do it. He's got a McMahon 370 and some more, battery in there as well. So it's big power. This has turned out to be the biggest amp that we've had on the Dyno. Yeah, it is. We've done a few things off camera that you guys haven't seen, but we haven't done that. So let me know what you think. I think I'm going to put these, I don't know. I actually filmed the 1 ohm dynamic run first. I don't know in the video which one I'm going to insert in which order. But let me know what y'all think about that. She is a beast. Guys, you need some serious electrical to run this. It's so much more than what you'd probably think for your average guy. I wish we could have seen that amp draw. There's no doubt that was over 1,000 amps. I'll bet you that was 11 or 1,200 amps right there. Okay. All right. So let's look at the gut shot, right? I don't think there's any sense in putting this amp on the 12s or the 15s over there, right? I mean, we all know I could blow those in a short amount of time if I wanted to. So I'm not sure yet if we're going to put it on the subs. We might, just for the heck of it, but we for sure want to check out the guts. I know y'all want to see what the guts look like in this thing. Really cool. This has been a lot of fun. All right, let's get to some of that other stuff. All right, this is a little bit crazy, but we're going to do it again. And here's why. I realized what I was doing. I forgot to change the range. It takes away the decimal. And I've went back to clamping both. I think it would be super cool if we could capture the total current. And I don't know. So guys, I'm going to do it again. This is a brutal test for this amp. But I would just love to see what that current draw really is. Okay, here we go. 1 ohm. It did 99.50 the first time. Let's see what it does this time. Let's roll it up. Oh, 98.48. 1,372 amps. I forgot to put that in the lowest hold mode. I'm sure it was 13.3 again. 1,300 amps. Woo, guys, you need a lot of electrical for that. Okay. All right, I'm gonna call it a win. Tell me what y'all think about this. The price of this amp, think about that. Stick around to the end of the video, by the way. What would the price per watt be for this? It's pretty amazing. So anyhow, I'd love to know y'all's feedback on this. Y'all know we don't normally do these big amps like this, but I'll say this, I've had a lot of fun today doing this one, that's for sure. All right, cool. That's what I really wanted to see right there. All right, good stuff, guys. All right, guys, this is to show that the amp is fine more than anything. Look, we got the little Scar 8, and we are at 1 ohm right now because that's a dual 2 in parallel. But I'm not going to turn it up. But here we go. Yeah, more than anything, that's just to show that the amp is okay. Think about that. We wind up doing that 1 ohm run twice and dynamic as well, and it never went into protect. That's super impressive to me, especially to be this kind of power and it just run flawless like a 1K or a 2K. And that's what this amp did. Y'all let me know what you think, but I'm gonna say this amp, I'm gonna say it does its numbers, or it's so close to them. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, there's a big difference. That 13.3, there's a huge difference between 13.3 and 14.4. So that 1 ohm run would have done quite a bit more than that 99.50. So I don't know. Either way, this is a 10K all day. But to be honest, I'd like to see what it would do on a bench that can hold 14.4 at the end of a 1 ohm run. That would be cool. Anyhow, let's get this unhooked. Let's flip it over. We got to check out the gut shot. All right, guys, check it out. It's one of your favorite parts. Bam. All right. We have definitely got some goodies. We have got some goodies going on in here. Tell me what you think. 7 of the big 200 volt, 1500 microfarad, 200 volt caps. 7 of those. A bunch of smaller caps too. 6 of the big square transformers. You can see the wiring for those 4 fans. It's got 13, where's it at? Right down in there. 13,000.1. Let me get y'all a good fly over here for you guys that really want to take a look at what's going on. I guess it's going to take me years to finally get used to the guts versus the power of a full bridge. Not that this is skimpy by any means. Excuse me, guys. But still, 13K. We know it does 10, right? But geez, I don't know. I got into car audio in '92. I come from a time where a 200 watt amp was big, and when we thought we had a 2 or 300 watt amp, we really had a 80 watt amp. So I'm always still blown away by these things, the power these days, and the value. Speaking of the value, let's get the plate put back on. Let's fill out the card. I'll tell you how much this thing costs. It's shocking to me. Let's get to it. All right, guys, let's see how much it weighs. I get asked to do this a lot, and I don't think I've ever weighed an amp, not on camera. But let's see what she weighs. 12.8. Hopefully that's showing up. Let me turn the light off just in case. 12.8 pounds. Okay. And while we're at it, let's do this. Try to get this in frame as much as possible. 16 and a half, not counting the feet and the terminals sticking out this way. What is that way? We'll call it 8.5. And the height, 2.5. How about that? Okay. All right. Guys, I've been thinking a lot. It's actually been several hours between the last videos, the dynos, and this one. So I'm really torn. I keep going back and forth on what I think this amp would really do. Part of me keeps thinking, yeah, there's a big difference between ending at 13.3 and ending at 14.4. But what's giving me trouble is I keep thinking about that dynamic run at 1 ohm where the voltage stopped at 14.5, and the reason being because when I was controlling the knob, it got to that, what was it, 10,300 and something, and it stopped, and I rolled the knob some more after that. I know you couldn't see that on camera, and it wouldn't. That was all she had, 10.3 dynamic, which we know the dynamic numbers sometimes, some amps just, they do a little weird dynamically. Sometimes they do more, sometimes they do less. But anyhow, I'm torn between whether I really think this is about a 10K or if it really does have that potential to be a 13K. I don't think anybody would argue this is a big, powerful amp. Did I mention that it's a Chinese full bridge, full range? Forgive me if I haven't mentioned that up to this point, but it is. That's what kind of amp it is. Y'all know those can act funny on the dyno. Yeah, the full bridge amps have been funny in a lot of ways. This one has just been solid. I think a lot of them are they're not built tough enough. I think a lot of the manufacturers, they're kind of banking on the fact that you're going to be on music, you're going to have impedance rise and all that kind of stuff, and that it'll never see the kind of strain that 1 ohm on a dyno is to an amplifier. But this one handled that like a champ. That would have been equivalent to being wired low, and it did it great without ever going into protect or anything. So super impressive. I didn't know what to expect out of a full bridge at this kind of power, that kind of amp draw. I thought, oh boy, there's a lot of smaller full bridge amps that don't like some of those things. So what's this guy gonna be like? And man, it did great. It did perfect, really. I don't think I've mentioned this. I don't do this a lot, honestly, because there's just, it doesn't tell the whole story. But I did test off camera the voltage, the clean voltage coming out of the amp, no load. So basically, while it was hooked up, before I put the resistors on it, I tested the output voltage and turned it all the way up, and it does 105 volts clean. Now, right after that, like 105.5, it's barely clipping, but it does put out 105 clean volts. Anyhow, that doesn't tell the whole story of what an amplifier can do, but it can be an indicator and something worth mentioning at times. All right, yeah, let's get the card filled out. All right, guys, we're gonna talk about the price here in a minute, but I'm gonna write down that uncertified number. We know that dynamically it did 10.3, which is really cool. That's cool to have a 10K on the bench, but it did 99.50, 40 hertz, 1 ohm, uncertified, at 13.3 volts. Wow, really cool. Guys, another shout out to Jason. Thank you so much, Jason, for letting us play with your amp today and see what it does, and trust me to do so. I really do appreciate it. Guys, Jason he bought this amp off of Temu. I've never bought anything off of Temu. Maybe my wife has bought a couple of things. I'm not real sure. I haven't. I know that's something that's getting popular. A lot of people starting to use Temu, but the shipped price on this amp was $311. That's crazy. That comes out to 3 cents per watt. $311. Now here's the problem with these big powerful amps getting so cheap. Now they're so affordable that people are picking them up. You know, they could pick this up and be like, well, golly, that's the same price as a Rockford Fosgate, 500 or 750 or something like that. But guys, keep in mind, this is something that I didn't understand for a long time either, but you might be much better served. The majority of people would be better served with that 500 watt amp or 1,000 watt amp. Honestly, it would probably run great in their vehicle for a long time. They could support it on their stock electrical. They would love that amp and talk about, how reliable it is and all of this, as opposed to something like this that they cannot support in their vehicle, not even close. You need a lot of electrical to support this. High output alternator, maybe a couple of them, right? Or a lot of batteries, but you need a combination of at least one high output alternator and several batteries. Anyhow, so consider that. Really consider what it is that you can support. You probably would be better off with that smaller amp, depending on what it is that you're doing in your vehicle, what you're trying to do with your system. Anyhow, consider that heavily. All right, guys, that's it. I have had a blast testing this week. I hope you guys enjoy it. I'd love to hear your feedback. I know you're going to give it to me. This one's going to be interesting to hear the comments, see what you guys think about it. Again, thank you, Jason. If anybody else, me and Jason live close enough to meet up. I think we've met 3 times now. We'll be meeting again here in a couple days. But let me know what you would like for me to test next. If you're interested in sending me an amp, or if you live close enough to meet up with me, let's talk about that. It just might be something that that we could work out. But anyhow, this has been a lot of fun. Let me know what you think. Thank you for all the support, and we'll see you next time.